education teacher will mold or influence young people to follow a gay, lesbian, or transgender lifestyle. Since the early 20th century, medical researchers have argued that homosexuality was inborn for more than 40 years. The idea that people can change their genetically determined sexual orientation has been medically disproven.
Thank you very much. Javier Hernandez, followed by Kathia Asuna.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Javier Hernandez. I'm a United States Marine Corps. I spent 20 years in the military going through this de facto about trying to accommodate people where they belong or don't belong. As far as I'm concerned, you know, the DACA people, they have it so easy. I have children and grandchildren that I try to put them in school, and they are overrated by these people because my children do not qualify because the older people are taking the education. Another thing is, we're talking about sex education in the school. Excuse me. We're trying to accommodate these people. Well, this is education. The school needs to concentrate on education and not about beliefs. Do the job about education. We need to teach them math, science, history, and let's support Trump. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Please refrain from comments from the dais. Kathy Asuna, followed by Abel Para Gutierrez.
Hello, my name is Kathy Asuna. I'm from Edison High School, and I came here to, first of all, just to thank the school board for their appearance at the opening ceremony of the Valley Dream Center, which is a great resource for all of our community members as well as DACA recipients. But I would also like them to reflect that same support for the LGBT community, and I would like to start by addressing Board President Fergashton's comments about LGBTQ people and the community. I am so sorry to say that those comments were very disheartening, and it left a very negative impact on our alumni, and it was a very visible impact. And it also just a very careless decision that didn't very well reflect. It was very contradictory actually towards some of Superintendent Bob Nelson's comments about being civil. We would like to ask you to, by any means necessary,
Thank you, Mrs. Sun.
support
Mr. Abel Gutierrez, followed by Cecilia Wright.
Dear board members, dear superintendent, dear audience, all the school principals are reinforcing the respect and dignity to all the students. Let's not waste our time in this kind of issue. Parents, teachers, and staff are respected in their dignity. Whatever values they bring into schools. So audience, don't worry at all. The city mayor, Lee Brandt, just named an independent police auditor to bring the trust of the community about justice for all. Looking for savings in all the departments, it's possible to pay for independent auditor here in Fresno Unified School District. Our community may feel better if we know all the millions of dollars dancing here come to the administration and go in the right direction.
Thank you.
So please consider to have an auditor, independent auditor. Thank you very much.
Cecilia Wright, followed by Zoyer Zindel. Cecilia Wright. Zoyer Zindel.
Hello, Mr. President. My name is Zoyer Zindel, and I'm the chair of Transmotion, an advocacy group for the transgender community in the Fresno area. And I appreciate meeting with you, Mr. Ashton, but I don't appreciate what has happened since. You enabled the removal of an important item from the agenda and falsely informed your staff that yourself and leaders of the LGBT community had come to an agreement to the extent that we no longer had an issue with you. Let me state for the record that this is not true. Again, Mr. Ashton, I say to you that I and Transmotion will not stand with you or for you until you have made an honest, concerted effort to correct the comments you made that created a hostile environment for LGBT students in Fresno Unified. This means implementing accurate educational material of LGBT history and issues, and keeping your LGBT students safe from bullying. So I ask you, Mr. Ashton, today, are you now willing to do your job? Because we will not go away. You can't continue to ignore us or the issue, so it's your choice.
Thank you. Superintendent Nelson, can we have somebody meet with Zoyer and the others to find out which staff they're talking about that I informed of something? Yeah, because I'm not aware of this, of what they're talking about. Mr. Vanush Kachadorian, and followed by Kachadorian, Vanush, followed by Bishop Westbrook.
Hi there. I'm a third-generation Fresno resident, and I've attended both public schools and private schools. My background is in medical, and I'm heavily involved in the arts and nonprofits, and I serve on dozens of boards as you do. I'd like to make some quick points. One is about your leadership, teamwork, and your civic engagement. What I observed in the news and on TV was an extremely disturbing effect. You were elected to protect our children's educational standards in the interests of the community of voters and to the addendum of the California Youth Health Care Act, Assembly Bill 329, which calls for the comprehensive teaching of LGBTQ. Your board president gave some concerns. They were valid. And it's going to come under more scrutiny by other parents. There's an opt-out with parental consent. Having a concern for teaching the materials is not wrong. Or impressionable to dabble in their sexuality, that's not unfounded concerns. We don't want educators to end up being the parents. There's got to be some kind of parent participation here. Oftentimes serving on boards, I don't get along with everybody. But you need to come together on common ground and stop throwing each other under the bus.
Thank you very much. Bishop Westbrooks, followed by Gabriel Suarez.
I'm not going to be before you long. I support you. The thing that caught my attention is when you said you have concern for the children. The rest of it's elementary to me. Anytime you have, I have 13 children and 48 grandchildren that's going through this district, and now we're starting to have great grandchildren. Done a great job with my children, the school board and this school district. Pay no attention to all of the rhetoric. Take care of my babies. Take care of my kids. This stuff I didn't teach. I didn't send them here to learn that. I sent them here to learn, to be educated by you. And you did a damn good job. And I thank you. And continue to do what you do, because you're doing a hell of a job. God bless you, each and every one of you. And I stand with you, man. Don't you ever think about quitting. Forget what they're saying. Don't do it.
Thank you. Gabriel Suarez, followed by Sarkis. Gabriel Suarez, followed by Sarkis. Gabriel Suarez. Sarkis. Sarkis, followed by Tanya Stokes.
I'm here to not discuss about LGBTQ and all the other ABCs with it, but I'm here to support Mr. Ashton, and also to let you know that I, as a grandparent, have grandkids coming up, and I'm going to protect them in every way I can. So I just like to remind the board that you don't represent one group, one race. You're here when you took your oath to represent all of us. Though you have districts, but you still represent all of us. Secondly, you have a bully policy. You need to read it, because I see what on this board you're bullying the president. You're bullying me. And saying this from the audience. You're bullying me because of my opinion or my feelings. I'm not out beating you up. And thirdly, can all of you read what the First Amendment says, the 5 parts in there? And if you can't, you should look it up. And they have issues, or they have... Pardon?
Thank you very much.
All right.
Tanya Stokes, followed by Tristan Stokes.
Many etiquette manuals explain the right way to apologize as accepting responsibility for your actions and remorsefully expressing sincere regret. Instead, Brooke appears on talk radio making light of things and defending his stance. None of the questionable or hateful comments have been retracted, no apologies have been attempted. Brooke Ashtian's primary focus has become less the education of our children and more the promotion and defense of Brooke Ashtian. By allowing him to remain in this position of power, the FUSD children are learning two things. Bullying is acceptable because he's doing it and no one's making him apologize. And that if they fall into any of the groups that he's disparaged, they're not safe at school. Before the next meeting, I encourage each board member to seek out his radio interviews and listen to him push the Brooke agenda and paint himself the victim of some sort of persecution. Our children need to know that the board focuses on them and not Brooke's reputation.
Thank you, Ms. Stokes. Tristan Stokes, followed by Mary Fierro.
On April 20th of this year, I decided suicide was a better option than coming out into this world full of people like you. I was too afraid of what others might think of who I am, and that what I am is wrong. I missed my prom because I was in a mental health lockdown at a hospital hours away from home. When there is bullying and children going home to unsafe households and people like me thinking that suicide is the only option that they have, I think we have a lot better things to be arguing about than same-sex education. Pineapples do not belong on pizza, that's an opinion. But what you said, that was prejudiced. And even though the Jewish Holocaust happened, or the Armenian genocide, since you want to use that analogy, Jews and Armenians still exist, and trust me, they are stronger than a lot of people, partially because of their history, but mostly in spite of it. I'm here because I know my history, and I will not stand to have someone like you be the face of my school district. If you have an opinion, keep it to yourself, because I have a lot better things to do than this.
Mr. Stokes.
Mr. Stokes, thank you. Mr. Stokes, Mary Fierro. Mary Fierro's not here. Keller Ashton, followed by Josh Fulfer.
I was here, President, the first meeting, and I look at the numbers as far as me and my wife, we moved back to the Fresno Unified School District in 2014, early 2014. And we came from the number 2 school district in the country, the best school district in the country. And I'll tell you why, because it was created with teamwork. There is no teamwork coming up over here. It's a blame game. It's let's focus on the issues that don't matter. You guys were elected in your positions partially because of your opinion. And your opinion does matter. Okay? Whoever told you your opinion doesn't matter, your opinion does matter. It's time to stand up, help each other, focus on what your job is to do. And Mr. Lacerda, your 5 minutes are up.
Josh Fulfer.
Thank you, President Brooke Ashton. I support you, and again, I'm with the many that think you guys need to worry about reading, writing, and arithmetic. Go ahead and look at your scores. Please look at your scores compared to other school districts and see what you're doing. This man is the one being bullied. There's a failing media outlet that goes after him and attacks him day after day after day. He's made the newspaper more than most sports athletes. All because he was concerned and had the same concern that many of us parents have. We're not sending our children to school to learn about sex education for one, and I understand that state law, but we have things we can do at home, and there's other parents, if they want to send their kids off to learn about things like that, they're more than welcome to. But worry about giving these kids an education to go to college, to get into trade schools, and to work. This is ridiculous and a waste of time. You guys really are not caring about the education.
Thank you, Mr. Fulfer. We'll now have board interim superintendent. I think the superintendent is out. I'm sorry, I think someone did.
And again, he's not allowed.
Do we have maybe we can grab our superintendent. There he comes. And then do we have any board and superintendent communications? It looks like Member De La Serve flashed up first, followed by Member Mills, and then Member Johnson.
Thank you. I attended the daily board meeting last week, so I would like the board communication in regards to the daily resolution I presented on removing Mr. Ashton from their board. So I myself and the rest of the board can receive information on where we are with that resolution. Thank you.
Member Mills, followed by Member Johnson.
Thank you. I have several points. One is we have just opened the Dream Center for DACA students, and I know some of that is funded by a grant we got for citizenship classes, but it's also my understanding that there may be grant money becoming available from the state of California specifically for DACA students for this type of a center. And I do know that there is one organization in San Francisco that's already posted that they have $1 million worth of grant money they're putting up specifically for Dream Centers for DACA students. And I don't know if they're just limiting that to the Bay Area or if we can get in on that. I have that email and that contact information that I can share with you later. In terms of class sizes, I've had a couple conversations with Mr. Eidsvoog about class sizes. He's smiling. But I know Trustee Johnson Rosas and I got an email today raising concerns about large class sizes in the science classes at both Roosevelt and Fresno High. And so I would like us to look into that. And I would frankly like to have a little bit deeper conversation as a board about how we are looking and calculating our ratios. Because we still seem to have some large classes, and if we're trying to blend a ratio over several grades, it leaves us with certain grades and certain classes that are quite large, that are frankly larger than I find acceptable. So I'd like to start having a conversation about that. I also, since we have just adopted this evening the superintendent's contract, I would ask that a goal-setting meeting be set. The contract does call for us to do the superintendent's evaluation by October 1st of next year, and we cannot evaluate the superintendent without having first set goals as a board. And I think when we do that, we should do a goal setting in the very near future, and we need to recognize and acknowledge we are already into the school year. And take that into account in terms of what the expectations are. But we do need to have a goal setting meeting. And then the last thing I wanted to share with the board is I received a telephone call from CSBA's president-elect, Mike Walsh. And Mr. Walsh is going to be in Fresno the first week of October. He will be one day at Cambridge, and he will be at Fresno High for 3 days because he does a program there that both of those schools have contracted to have him present. But he wanted to extend an invitation to the board members should they wish to participate in a portion of any of those programs. He said we are welcome. And no, we don't have to do all 3 days at Fresno High.
Member Johnson Rosas, followed by Claudia Member Starks.
So I want to kick off my comments by just segregating some of these sentiments that Member Mills shared around classroom sizes and goal setting. But I'll have to ask forgiveness for my board because most of my comments right now, my principal comments are directed to you and the community that's watching at home. And forgive me if I kind of struggle through this. It's emotional, especially with a young person outside. But really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for coming here tonight and to the meetings past. If you didn't get a chance to say your full speech, I know several of you had it written down, please feel free to email it to me. My email is readily available on the district website. If not, I have some cards after the To the staff who stood here tonight, I really know that that took guts, and I couldn't agree more. Democracy isn't always pretty. It's meant to have disagreements. They're necessary. However, civility and respect are imperative. I'm saddened that you felt that you had to come and address this publicly, though. In my almost a year on this board, I've received my fair share of criticism that comes with the territory and my fair share of requests, but nothing like recently. And even in my short time here on the board, I know that this is different. I have never before been asked so forcefully and repetitively to reaffirm my commitment to equality, to let the world know where I stood. I've always relatively naively thought that that was self-evident. I'm deeply saddened that I have to have these words here tonight, heartbroken that it's come to this. But for the record and for anyone watching, I firmly believe in love, tolerance, and equality to all for all. Furthermore, because things have been said, I don't believe we can make someone gay by teaching them sex education or want to change their gender for that matter. I also don't believe that there's only one way to raise a child. If a two-parent household is what's required, then I must be a fluke. It makes no difference to me what your race, gender, or sexual orientation is. I care about what is in your heart. And my heart doesn't have space for hate. Love is so much more powerful than hate that it just drowns it out completely. When I was young, I went to Bible camp, and I really distinctly remember getting a stone, Little River Rock, with the number 1 and an S and a T in white on it. It was the first stone. It was a reminder to not throw the first stone, or any stones for that matter. You can't fight intolerance with intolerance, hate with hate, or stones with stones. But I also understand pain and fear. Fear that has been augmented by a political context that has enabled hate and harmful rhetoric. Fear and pain that many in our LGBTQ community face on a daily basis, where words can be the difference between life or death and between a teen taking their own life. As a community, we can't let that happen. And in this context, I understand the need even more to hear from me as a member of this board, that I'll protect the LGBT community. I'll protect our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning kids, and any other kid. And let's get the focus back on the success of our kids. And thank you for being here, and thank you for listening.
Member Gonzalez, followed by Member Davis.
We didn't quite have the opportunity to congratulate publicly earlier Superintendent Bob Nelson, so so happy that you are on board now permanently. I think our students have a lot to look forward to in the next coming years, and I'm proud to have voted to approve your contract and appoint you today. We have a lot to look forward to in the next handful of years, and hopefully more beyond that. So thank you, Mr. Nelson. Additionally, I just wanted to add that today I had the opportunity to tour some of my school sites, and the principals at both Eaton and Tioga were very gracious in allowing me a last-minute tour of their schools and a meet and greet with their teachers. So I really appreciate all of those teachers that were able to come out and shake my hand and talk to me about some of the issues that they have. And so I'll be following up with Superintendent Nelson on some facilities issues at Tioga. But I really wanted to take the opportunity, again, this is not my first time, the last 3 meetings, I think both myself and some of the other board members have taken the opportunity at this section of the meeting to express our support for everybody in our community. Tonight, we have been fortunate again to be a witness to this nation's greatest right, and that is the right of free speech. Tonight, I will again stand with those in our community that they themselves stand for and protect each of our students regardless of their beliefs, religion, nationality, or sexual orientation. Just because you don't see me in front of a television set saying that does not mean I do not support your child regardless of what their beliefs are. At the same time, there has been much fake news about what exactly is being taught in our sexual education classes. Educate yourself. What's being said is not true. Don't repeat it. Ask the superintendent, ask Ms. Meekum, and stop spreading lies about what the state of California requires us to teach in our sexual education classes. It's scaring people. It's not fair. This board, through its voting and actions, has continually proven our dedication to every one of our students and parents. Every one of us on this board. And sometimes it doesn't actually follow with your beliefs. The Safe Places resolution was passed 7-0 earlier this year. I personally do not support, nor do I appreciate it. He knows this already. I've had a personal conversation with him. The sentiment behind the words expressed previously by Mr. Ashton. He knows that I've had this conversation with him. Yet, as all of us are able to show our viewpoints, so is he. The board cannot and will not ask Mr. Ashton to step down. That is the decision made solely by the voters of his district. The board does not have policies in place to ask, to strip him of his presidency, regardless of what you've been told and the lies you have been told. That doesn't exist. The board shouldn't promote censorship because any one of us listen to our community when they don't agree with you. There's going to be a lashing, there's going to be a tongue lashing, and you're not going to like it. And I'm glad you came here to express those views. And finally, I don't disrespect nor do I throw any one of our board members under the bus, much less on television. I was voted here to bring civility to this board and bring respectfulness to this board. And I think I have done that the last 9 months, and I will continue to do that regardless of the issue. I didn't run for this board to get media time to show up on your TV set. I ran and I was elected to make the best decisions on this board on any given Wednesday, solely for our students. And I do that as much as I can on any given Wednesday, and then guess what? We come back the next Wednesday and we do it all over again. And I will continue that fight for our students. And I know that we're supported by all of our teachers that were stood here tonight. Yes, it took guts. Thank you for coming.
Member Davis.
Well, I'd like to address the superintendent, since this is our superintendent board time, and thank the staff for this, the DACA Resource Center, and thank the students at Edison High School that generated so much energy, and the staff that was able to take care of their bus transportation. Also, with our goal-setting need, we also would usually have a board self-evaluation. So if there's some way we can onboard our new board members with the board self-evaluation that I believe you all haven't done yet, we need to do that prior to goal setting. So if the superintendent can see that our usual people are very eager to notified, and we can schedule sometime for our board to have board self-evaluation. Thank you.
Real quickly, just a couple of things, Superintendent Nelson. One, congratulations. We're very glad you're here. I think it's a fantastic night for the Unified School District. It was exciting to see you interacting with your children.
Exciting is a word.
Yes.
It's a
If
description.
there's any demographic that matches, if there's any family that matches the demographic of Fresno Unified, it's yours. And quite frankly, I'm impressed, and it's wonderful to see all those young babies crawling all over the place. You're not exactly a spring chicken, so I hope you can really catch up with them. They look pretty fast, but it was exciting. It was exciting, and it's refreshing, and we have a full-time superintendent. And yes, we hired from within Fresno Unified first time, and Carol Mills said 35 or 25 or almost 30 years. So we're on the track for success and succession. And it hasn't happened like that in a long time. We transplanted people in Fresno Unified, and we have great people that work here. We saw the staff stand in front of us tonight. I applaud them for doing that. And I applaud them for the courage which it took for their staff to come and stand before this board. Whatever the reasons, forget what the beat put out on Twitter tonight, it doesn't matter. Whatever your reasons were, we're glad you're here. We're glad you work for us. We're proud to be part of That doesn't mean we're not gonna ask you tough questions, because we are, it's our job. We're gonna ask tough questions. We're gonna wonder why so many kids can't pass math. We're gonna ask why so many kids are getting flunked out or kicked out or whatever the situation. That's our job. It's our job, it's what we're supposed to do. And the day we stop doing that, we shouldn't be here. So with that, Superintendent, thank you for being here. I think that I want to thank the people that came out, whether you're from Daly or whether you're from Fresno Unified or whether you're from Clovis, it doesn't really matter. We're grateful to hear your feedback. We appreciate the comments. I would like some sort of board communication on who exactly told some of our people tonight that I had said certain things when that conversation didn't take place. I want to know who said that, because that needs to be corrected. That wasn't right. Whoever gave these people false hope wasn't right. Because that's not the conversation that I had with you or any member of your staff. Secondly, I want to know if we can have Mary Beth research this with your approval, is the California Healthy Youth Act. It gives certain regulations on what has to happen for parental opt-out provisions. And those opt-out provisions did not happen with our Fresno B. Whoever gave them that permission, I want a board communication on who gave them that permission to come onto our campus. But if they're if they're doing a study with USC, they should have known that you can't break the law. And if people come onto our campus and they break the law under the California Health Youth Act, they should be banned from our campus. We do not turn our children over to anybody. We're responsible for those kids from door to door. We don't allow people to come on and do the things that don't fall into this act. So if we could get a BC on that, I would appreciate it. Once again, we appreciate all the parents that came